Now, we're talking about 4 different types of communication, how they're different. Most of this, I assume, is review for you guys. But I want to go over it real quick to make sure we've established a foundation. We're going to start with intrapersonal. Intrapersonal communication is essentially you talking to yourself. Your internal monologue. The things you say when you're at a party, when you're driving in your car, that only you can hear. The things that you say while you're listening to a lecture. Is he ever going to shut up? He can't shut up. I may die in here. Did I eat Wendy's twice yesterday? Those are the sort of things that we'd call intrapersonal communication. After that, we have interpersonal, which is you talking with another person. Interpersonal is a fascinating field of communication. There are some very good people on this campus who teach interpersonal communication. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, obviously, because we're talking about mass media, but it is a very interesting field and something that is probably worth your study. Real interpersonal communication obviously is a give and take process. People respond to one another. If your message is not understood, you find another way to get that message across. If you're really communicating, you have to understand the messages that the other person is intending to communicate. And you come together to create a shared meaning of reality. Like I said before, interpersonal communication, you can learn a lot more about it from some people in our building who are a lot smarter than I am, or rather have done more study on it than I have. I will tell you, most people are interested in relationship counseling and interpersonal communication, which is not something that I'm particularly good at, as my wife will be more than happy to tell you. After that, you have what's called group communication, which is your typical classroom setting or any type of a speech. So there are more than 2 people who are receiving the message, and there's usually one or only a handful of senders. The dynamics change at this point because now you're having to account for all the other people. There's more work to take turns, more worry about appearing foolish in front of multiple people, but there's also more control. Someone tends to dominate a group during group communication. Sometimes you appoint a leader, which is a teacher or a boss or an expert to guide the communication. Other times it's a free-for-all. The bottom line is there's less intimacy in that particular setting. And then finally, you come to the highest level of communication, which is what's called mass communication, which is obviously why we're all here. Mass communication is defined as using a mass medium to send a message to a large audience for the purpose of informing, entertaining, or persuading. We're going to come back to those 3 things here in just a moment. Here's a model of these 4 types of communication. What I want to point out in this model is the further up you go, the fewer senders you have and the more receivers. So there are only a handful of people who are engaging in mass communication. A lot of people are consuming it.